Good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening, fellow long-suffering Hammers fans. What we've got here today is a Hammers United fan panel. I'm honoured to have been asked to host it, and we have got some even more long-suffering people in the chat who want to have their say about what's going on at the club, what's going to happen going forward, how we've progressed in the last 10 years. You can cue the canned laughter right on there, and really, what is the future for Hammers United? How can Hammers United impact change in the club and everything else going forward, as well as some personal stories and some quite heartfelt stuff there as well. In the chat, I have got Danny Proctor. Danny was OSB corporate liaison for a time. We've got Neil Taylor. Neil Taylor's here. You're probably already wearing a pair of Neil Taylor's Lucky Long Live the Bowling Pants as you're watching this. We've got Danny Fenn over there. We've got Harry Hamilton, Andy Byrne. Andy's a school teacher, of course. So if anyone gets a bit naughty, you're going to expect a detention. And, of course, we've got Andrew Date, a.k.a. Datey, as well. Now, before I hand over to these lovely, beautiful people, I just want to say that it was the 19th of January 2010 when Messrs Gold, Sullivan and Sullivan Brady took over at West Ham United. We were a Premier League team at the time, just. In the Championship were Newcastle, Leicester, Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. In League One were Leeds and Southampton. Little did we know at that time, when we were promised that we would be challenging the likes of Real Madrid, that all of those clubs that were below us in the football pyramid would be loads better than us. We were told that we were very lucky to be taken over. We were saddled with loads of debt. Fast forward over 10 years and we're still saddled with loads of debt. And I'll leave you to decide whether you think we're lucky to be taken over. We were promised much, but I'm sure one of the promises wasn't that we'd be Burnley's whooping boys every season. We've seen Gianfranco Zola, Avram Grant, Sam Allardyce, David Moyes twice, and of course Manuel Pellegrini. Did I mention Avram Grant? Those are the sort of managers and the calibre that we've had to deal with at West Ham. Now, I'm also aware that when we're doing this fan panel, and particularly for those of you that are watching, one swallow doesn't make a summer, and we're coming off the back of a very good victory against Wolves, which we were all delighted to see. But it's important that it doesn't paper over the cracks. It's important that it doesn't mask what has been an absolutely horrendous 10 years in charge. I'm going to start off with Datey, Andrew Date. Datey, you were involved heavily in Brownout.
Yep.
What's changed, mate?
I got this. The Brownout was started by really two of us. It was a lot of it was done in various pubs and Ken's Cafe. And it was very much a like salt and pepper pot. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going to be. Ever since social media has really started, it's an absolute nightmare to try to even organise anything, get anyone on the same page. There's so much friction between all the different groups of supporters over there now. And I don't honestly know where we go. As you say, I've had my season ticket since 1985, and I've never expected anything from West Ham apart from be entertained and occasionally give the odd big team a bit of a bloody nose in the cup. That's a million miles even from where we're from now. We've had one Slaven Bilic season, the last season at our home, and that was a brilliant season. I've got to be honest, really enjoyable. But a lot of that was on the back of the excitement of the lies we were told in moving over to the London Stadium. And I've got to be honest now, I'm bored. I can't stand it. I don't like anything about the new ground. I hate everything about the board of directors. I've got to be honest, I can't stand David Moyes. I know we won on Sunday, but playing one up front every game at home, that's not what I've been brought up on. And it's a bind now. Even I'm, just over 50 now. Upton Park, used to get up Saturday morning and I was like a little kid. Who are we playing today? Oh yeah, pub early, etc., etc. Same as everyone else. Now it's just a bind to even get myself motivated to go over there. I think there's so much can be done to improve things, and they're not interested at the end of the day. They're just about making money. They've alienated so many old school supporters that are life and blood of our club. So many of those now haven't renewed this year, probably didn't renew last year. And I know we're going through COVID and all funny times and everything, but it's rubbish. And obviously anything that can be done to change that in any way, I'm part of. Obviously joined, did the Brown Out stuff. When the Real West Ham Fans group started, I was asked by Andy to get involved with that because of what I'd done previously. Me and Harry was on the same thing as me, and I would like to say most of us put 1,000% effort in trying to get change, and then that all went wrong, and then that sort of makes you even more disillusioned, and I can't be bothered with all this. And then once the Hammers United started up, Bubbles rang us a couple of times, we had a couple of chats, Tross has rung us a couple of times, and it's just, something needs to happen, otherwise we're just going to die as a club. And I want my boy to have good times over there, not the times we're having now. And that's pretty much where I'm at, really.
Yeah, sorry about that. Bit of problems with the mute there. Thank you, thanks very much, Andy. There. I just want to go straight over. I mean, obviously, Date is completely disillusioned with everything. I'm once sensing a lot of hope that an awful lot can be changed. I just want to go actually over to Harry. Harry, do you think it's possible to impact any change the way we are? I think there's two questions. Can we impact any change? Do the owners have to go for there to be changed? They seem incapable of being able to change themselves.
Mate, I think where we're at now, there's got to be change. No one wants to go, right? You can be the hardest West Ham fan I've ever met in my life. People are giving it up. No one wants to be there. No one likes the ground. No one enjoys it. It's a chore, yeah? I, like many others, do away games as well. That's what I live for. I have my home ticket so I can carry on with the away games. I don't go to the London Stadium because I enjoy it. I don't get that feeling like I used to at Upton Park. Like Datey said, I'm doing this I'm with everyone else trying to make a change for the future generations. They don't want all of this. They can't have all of this. This isn't what I brought up to. I was brought up to love West Ham because wherever I went, West Ham, I knew my mates and my dad's mates and everyone like that, we were one family. This club isn't that anymore. No one can tell me otherwise. This club isn't the family I grew up with. And it makes me sick. They're mugging us off, mate. They're absolutely taking the piss out of us. They've got to go. It's gone past the stage of forgiveness. It's gone past the stage of, I'm really sorry, we'll do this. We've heard it for the last 10 years, mate. How many players this window have we been linked with? We can all see the problem. We know how bad we are. One win against Wolves doesn't change that. We are horrendous. And we are going to rely on 3 teams being worse than us to make anything better. Otherwise, we're going down. We're gone. And what are we now? 8 days before the end of the window? 7 days? 6 days? And it's took this long for them to pull their finger out. Come off it. We're in trouble, mate. We are banging trouble.
They have pulled their finger out, Harry. I'm not even sure they have pulled their finger out. You said about them being sorry. I'm not sure they are sorry. I don't think that apology has happened.
Of course they're not sorry, mate, because they're still making the rennies. They don't care. While we're still giving them the money and while they're still earning the money, they ain't going to give them monkeys. Whether who's there, I'm there. The problem with this at the minute, right? They don't care if I'm there, Date is there, Danny's there, whoever's there now. The hardest of hardcore West Ham fans could be there. If we go, I'm not doing it anymore, and we'll give it up. Some other donut will go and buy one. So I understand a lot of people have to give it up, and I fully respect it. Yeah, but my only worry is if I give it up, someone else will just take it. So
the problem is, Harry, as well, is they don't actually want you over there. Because if you're anything like me, you buy your season ticket, I refuse, and I know it's only a little thing, but I won't ever buy a programme, I won't buy any food or drink. I know they don't get much of that at all, but that's my little protest. If I don't go and I'll give it up, someone else will just go in my place or buy a shirt or buy a programme.
The problem you're going to get. So the only thing that really, it's just the lies, relentless lies. Like, look at the stadium sale of Upton Park. Right, we all know it's quite clear he sold it once to one company, sold it then on again for more money. Why not just be honest and sell it to yourself straight away? Why? What? But he's never admitted it. He's never come out and gone, I've done it. Yeah, all right. There is nothing. Like, the system at this club is so bad. We've got no scouts. Tell me how a top flight English club can have no scouts. Like, look at Southampton. They sell players, they bring in better ones. Look at Leicester. They sell Chilwell, they bring in better players. Yet we are just incapable of doing it. We sell Pyatt and bring in Faguli. Like, leave it out. Come on. It's just, the club is so backwards. Don Hutchison on Twitter today was going, I've given the club 5, 6, 7, 8 targets. None of them wanted to listen. We've got no one, bar Sir Trev, that knows anything about football at that club. In that level, at that level, other than Sir Trev, there is no one. They've got to, it's never going to change, but they've got to start the ball rolling. They've got to employ people that understand the way we are, that understands our club. Because while they're there, mate, this club's going from, it's getting worse. And I just can't see, there's no way it's ever getting better until they go. All this talk about sales, we'll sell the club, we want this. 800 million. Who is buying that for 800 million? Come on. We don't even own a ground. The training grounds are horrendous, by far the worst in the league. What are they selling for 800 million?
It did make me laugh when Sky Sports were forced into that apology, and the board wanted to say they boasted we've spent 4 to 10 million on the training grounds, and you look at Leicester and the likes of Tottenham have spent 150 million.
Tottenham, if they said to us, look, fans, we're really sorry, there's no money this year, but we're going to spend 70 million on a new training ground. Okay, fine, that's another step forward. But there's not even that. We've still got bloody porter cabins.
But everything from top to bottom at West Ham is done so cheaply.
It's everything. It's like they're trying to do it in a pound shop.
I've had my
Get out of Aldi and go Waitrose. Just do something. Oh, we spent 45 million on Haller, right? But you then bought him, no support. Right? You can't rely. Robert Snodgrass has always had the right attitude, but then you look at the way they treated him. Then, like, oh, my son's begged me to sign him. It's just rotten to the core, mate. It's just horrendous from the top to the bottom. Like, Moyes was done on the cheap. All right. They tried with Pellegrini. At the time, I was happy. Worked out to be the wrong appointment. Ancelotti was going before he went Everton. Oh, no, we don't want him. Let's have Moyes back on the cheap. Come on.
I just want to bring in Danny Proctor. Danny, it's funny, it's quite timely, this actually, because I spoke to somebody today who was is a corporate client of West Ham. And I won't name him, but he was very, very unhappy with the service that he had received. Now, obviously, you were on the OSB anyway. We've spoken already just a little bit. We've touched on player training grounds, stadiums, player recruitment. On that side of things, how have you found that to be, Danny?
To be honest, it was a tricky thing to do because I was unhappy with the services. The services actually probably got worse. For example, Man City game last year, we used to get free drinks at half-time. The Norwich game, the next home game, they introduced only one drink. They didn't tell me. They didn't tell anyone, they just implemented it. And when I asked the question, why has that been changed? I was told it's always been like that. You was just very lucky and had free drinks at half time for 3 years, or 2 years, sorry. Just the whole structure. Me and my dad was sold the dream, like everyone. We had a normal season ticket at Upton Park. We was promised the world. So my dad said, I'm getting older. I fancy a change. So we got better tickets. We had a very, very good seat, probably the best thing what we had. But we didn't like the experience at all. We couldn't wait to leave them seats, but we were signed into a 3-year contract. We've just renewed back to normal seats because we couldn't wait to get out of there. We was fed up sitting next to away supporters every single game. I even brought it up in a meeting with Sullivan Brady on the OSB that the Liverpool game, I sat there and had to watch Liverpool fans around me videoing them singing You Never Walk Alone. We had Palace supporters there celebrating one game, a goal against us. Just every single game, more or less, there was away supporters near us. I brought it to their attention. I was told by Karen Brady on a meeting that away fans, under no circumstances, in any home ends. And then halfway sort of last season, I got an email. Everyone got an email who sat in them areas to say away supporters are allowed as long as they don't wear colours and are respectful. So when I brought that up again to say that's not what I was told on the meeting, I tried to pull it up on the minutes from the meeting and my question was removed from that. So them sort of things, I just feel like I had my hands tied behind my back. I mean, I had a phone call from West Ham to say I've been nominated to go on the OSB, which I did because I thought, you know what, I hate the experience of the London Stadium. I'm going to try and improve it for everyone. And to be honest, if anything, people probably saw my name on the Club London and probably thought that bloke's probably made it worse because it never got better. The food was the same. I know West Ham didn't have much control of that, but prices of food was extortionate. Prices of beer. We used to get the beer put on the table, help yourself. They then changed it, so you had to go to the bar. The bar in the bowling bar is literally very small, and the time it takes you get your drink, you might as well not get it because the second half's starting. So they just kept changing everything, and as I was supposed to be the Club London representative, I wasn't told much. It was just done, and then that was it.
Sounds like a shame. I can't believe. Well, I can't believe. I should believe. I mean, corporate is meant to be extravagance. Corporate is meant to be a special thing. Corporates, you know, it's the luxury. It's the luxury ticket for them to. And what's a beer at cost? What, £2.50 for them to scrimp on that? Yet take thousands off of people. I find that unbelievable, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, we paid, me and my dad, our season tickets were over £5,000 a year, and that's the bowling bar, which is the lower tier of the hospitality. And for that price, I think we got a great seat. We had our own little exclusive area, and we got a free match day program. We've just renewed opposite side, the Billy Bonds stand, probably 2 rows lower, and our season tickets together is £1,500. So for value for money, what people are getting in that area is not worth it. And I actually had a call from West Ham last week saying, can I come back and renew in that area? And I said, no chance.
It's not even any bloody football one. It's preposterous anyway. Danny Fenn, you worked for West Ham, is that right, mate?
Listening to Danny's comments, I'm shocked about the hospitality because I worked in the corporate hospitality bit at Upton Park from the beginning till 2009. My missus worked in there. We knew everyone in there by name. I'm just shocked, and when he said the price, I'm absolutely dumbfounded. But it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me.
Why? Can I ask, Danny? Why weren't you retained? Why aren't you still working for West Ham?
I prefer not to go into details with that. Just reasons. I didn't get on with a gentleman who's still there now. Let's just say that. I'll leave that there. I mean, Mrs. She left about a year before we left before we moved stadiums, because they all had to reapply for their job, and the chance was she wouldn't have kept it, so she just sort of went elsewhere, and her heart wasn't in it. From the minute the new owners took over, she used to come home and tell me different things. Obviously, I don't want to drop your missus in any bother, but she'd come home each day and tell me how things was changing. And they slowly got rid of the old school people that had been there, working there, people that, like myself, I used to go and park my car each morning. Every day I would walk into work, look round and think, what a buzz. I'm being paid to go into a place that I've paid for years to come to. Like, I used to work 16, 17 hours a day sometimes, and I would be up again the next morning and do it all again. But for these, you couldn't pay me to go and work there now, no matter what you offered me. Not that they'd have me, but I would not work for these people.
It's not an exclusive or a rare tale. That I remember being at Upton Park, and maybe I probably shouldn't mention his name, but he was someone that worked in security, and he'd been there for quite a long time, and he was quite close with the owners. I remember speaking to him,
Did he have a
And
moustache?
no, he didn't. But if you ever, you know that game where Mourinho got sent up to the stands at Upton Park.
Yeah.
He's actually in the picture. You know when the owners sort of jump up and if you look, he's in that picture. I think I can say that much. He'd been there a long time. He had a very good job, and he would obviously clearly taken care of the owners and a lot of people there. He wasn't even offered a job to go back. I remember being downstairs at Upton Park in the tea room. And the old girl that was there had been working there for a long, long time. She was in tears. She wasn't. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Shirley was that?
Yeah, she used to do the pies. She used to do like inside, right by where the press room was. She used to do the teas and the pies. She was as West Ham as anything. Do you know what I mean? And people like that. I think this is actually one of the stories that gets, I think, lost in the sort of tsunami of everyone being disenchanted with a move and transfers and all the rest of it. It's the number of people that lost out their jobs, that missed their jobs.
Mate, sorry. This is where it all goes wrong as well. Look how badly they've handled that. Like, the amount of people that should have had a job, proper, hard-working people that actually would, like, love this club more than many people, just got pushed to the curb. Like, they make a hole for themselves time after time after time and do nothing to help themselves. They make it worse. Simple. Anyone at security, look how the troubles when we first moved, all the troubles we had with security. That could have gone.
They was outsiders bought in to stir us up.
That's what I'm saying. After that could have been erased by seeing the same faces you saw at Upton Park.
Mm-hmm.
You had the fat Eddie Murphy chaps standing in front of me every week. You see him, he brings a smile to your face. He has a laugh with you. These lot, they were bouncers that worked in the afternoon. That's all they were. They didn't want that. They just didn't want the act. They just were ready to get rid of you. It's error after error after fuck up. It's just comical. If you go back, we could write a book on this, mate. You could write a book of the errors they went wrong with. And it's simple things that could have been corrected quickly. Right, anyone that worked at the club, you guarantee you a job. We're moving. Guarantee you a job.
Personally, I don't think they care about anything like that.
Of course they
there's
don't.
no empathy with us. They've got nothing. They can give it all they want. They grew up as fans. They might have, but they love a pound note more than they love the football club. And I can honestly say, for you and myself, I love the football club more than I love a pound note. So that love, I feel like I'm going through a slow bit of breakup with a lover. The lover being the football club. Like my heart is ripped out, and it's only so much I can take.
I do genuinely think, like you said, Gold actually did support the club. I do genuinely think, and there is part of him that still does love the club. But like you said, it's been taken over by a pound note. Yeah. It's been taken up by a pound note, and I do also think Sullivan has got him by the nuts. He can't turn around to David Sullivan and go, "Oh, we're doing this." I don't think so, mate. You got no chance.
Let's Tross, if we can unmute Neil. Let's bring Neil in on this because obviously, well, as the mantra goes, long live the Boleyn. A disastrous move all round. We've seen about the ownership. We've seen the shocking treatment of people buying season tickets, the fans, the staff. What have you made of it all, mate?
Well, in a nutshell, I don't think. Well, I certainly didn't, and I don't think enough people protested at the time when it was going to be announced that we were going to move from the Boleyn. But then most of us, myself included, were probably sucked in to their whole ethos behind it, driven by Brady. That's what she was brought in there for. And to me, she's the worst of the three of them, closely followed on the inside on the rails by both of them. So I don't think there was a strong enough protest. And to go there, which, I used to work on that brownfield site in 1976 over at Marshgate Lane. So, to see it sort of come up and what it done to but listen, I mean, people will say, "Oh, the stadium was falling down, or it needed work doing to it." Well, I think that we could have, apart from the statements they made about it was to do with a bus garage, we couldn't go up to a certain height, therefore we couldn't extend on the east stand. But I reckon 42,500 would have done. I mean, we weren't filling the bowling up when we was in there. You know, in the early days we used to. You know, I can go back to 42,000 in there. But then, you know, I'm unfortunate. I'm the oldest bloke on this panel, so I probably can't go back that far. But I don't look it. Fenny looks about 10 years older than me. But no, you know, I was of a belief that they came out and the offer was. I was told by one of the three that the offer was too good to refuse when they left Birmingham, that West Ham had came up. Well, there's a coincidence. I mean, and all of a sudden the Olympic Stadium comes along and everything sort of falls neatly into place. One thing after another. They got a 99-year lease on probably the cheapest thing you could ever get, $2.5 million. They take they don't pay, they don't have to furlough no one. They've got no staff working in the ground apart from the people that sit in the ticket office. So they've got a cheap old deal. You know, whatever way you look at it, that's a cheap old deal there. And I can't stand the gaff, to be honest with you. I agree with a young fella, Danny. I'm fortunate enough that I know a few people in the corporate. I've been up there a few times, and he's definitely right about the beers. The beers were put on the table sometimes at half time. So when you came back in, the beers were already there, and then that changed. And you walked up to a three-wide piece of the bar, and you got one beer, and by the time you got that, virtually you were back out again. So that has sort of that you know, he's spot on there. But the old thing. No, it's too clinical there for me. You know, perhaps. I mean, Brady never wanted people of my age and older. I think if you're over, no disrespect to Harry and the other fella, but if you're over sort of 45, Brady definitely don't want us there. That's for sure. You know, it's driven for a younger supporter. We're just a nuisance. The older supporter, and. To go right back to the start of this interview, the first guy that spoke, Andy, and he's spot on. I've been going over there since 1968, and at the end of the day, no one's ever called me a glory hunter. Yes, I'll go in my head down at work, but if I was unfortunate enough to bump into a gooner, because they always used to beat us. And but yeah, the best years we had were early 80s, and then 86, and our luck again in 86 was the Heysel happened when we finished third, didn't get into Europe. Well, no one was on the telly, but that's just West Ham. You know, like our dreams, they fade and die, really. But going back to what you asked me, no, you know, long live the bowling. Tries to keep it alive. I went down there. I think it was a couple of weeks back, and I was on my way to the Vic, and I thought, well, I'll go back down. Last time I went up there was about a year before. No, it was before that. About 6. I try and get down there 2 or 3 times a year. I went down there with my daughter, and I went down there when Billy Bonds McAvenny was down the supporters club for an Isle of Do. But I went down there, and I came out of the station, and do you know what? If you get up until the champion statue, if you took your grandkids down there and you said my favourite team used to play down here, they wouldn't have an inkling where it was, because there's nothing showing at all. We've got the Memorial Gardens, which is boarded up. I know that's under construction, but no, there's nothing there. They've totally decimated the whole area. Just got up, left it, walked away. I'm not saying they could have, you know, took everyone with them, but they could have struck some sort of a deal to take traders back down to Stratford, stalls, you know, so anything like that. But no, it's all corporate, which they don't pay for. So all them are, because it's the LDCC own that around the ground. So really, I could go on forever, to be honest with you. What they've done, it is a money-making scheme. I threw another question at Uncle Albert, and I asked him about mascots. He blatantly, he either gave me the wrong information on purpose, or he was totally unaware. I'm swaying to the fact he's probably not aware.
I doubt he is.
That you know, he told me that West Ham were one of the cheapest in London, and I begged the dipper because I'd already done my homework, and West Ham was £700 a pop. So Harry's telling me that's one of the cheapest when other clubs let mascots into nothing, and we got 15 of them. It was just one thing after another, and it's like these people coming on my page saying, well, if you don't think that price is right, don't do it. Well, that's not what it's about, is it? It's about the kids put the pressure on people. I put it to him, why don't you have a draw? Every couple of home games, draw out and pull some people out from the cheaper seats, not all corporate. And if they get pulled out, throw their kids in for a mascot for nothing. Is that really going to, is that really going to rank up the club? And it's all about PR and good communications. And I'll end on a note: they haven't got any. Simple as that. And while they're running that club, yes, I don't go with the other people at Wolves were rubbish. And I thought we played well Sunday, to be honest with you. And I thought we played well against Arsenal. And but is it papering over the cracks? We've got a good team on paper, but they need some sort of formula to sort of get them all playing. But hopefully, we crack on. If we can afford to get up to Everton tomorrow, the team that is, because 50 grand's a lot of money. Perhaps we might get a little run in the cup, and low in our luck, we'll get to the final. And you know what's going to happen? No one will be allowed in.
No, having waited for years.
It'll be another 40 years before we win.
That would be very West Ham.
I'll end it at that. Otherwise, I'll take the whole thing over. I'm sitting here listening to everyone, and everyone's spot on, and I'm saving because I'll do 3 hours on my own. But anyway, thanks for giving me.
We'll bring you back in. We'll bring everyone back in. I just want to Andy, if Tross can unmute Andy there. Andy, I'll tell you what is a theme of all this is everyone. I've got to be honest with you, everyone feels very unwanted. Yeah. That's the thing. Right now, I'm obviously mindful that we're all sat on this panel now, and we've already made up our minds. We have already decided that we don't like what's happening. But I'm looking at, obviously, Hammers United in many respects is a victim of its own success because you've got so many members there, 15, 16,000 members. When you first started, you were able to engage with everybody. You could probably answer every email and that sort of thing. Now, you're going to have to try and get messages out in the way that you're doing through the website and whatnot. But bearing in mind, there's just a handful of us now who sort of all feel that they don't care for us. We're not needed. Listen to everyone. Everyone's saying the same thing. Is that a message that's coming across from your membership?
I would say it is, mate. It's very much reflected in the membership. But I think, the opportunity that we've got here of a conversation happening here between, someone who was on the OSB, someone who's worked for the club, someone who runs the Long Live the Bowling website, fans who've been involved in fans groups in the past. It's a fair representation of the fan base. It's also a fair representation of advocates for the club. So I don't think messaging that comes out of tonight's conversation would be. I don't think it would be unfair to say that is a reflection of the fan base. And I'd like to ask a genuine question of every single person who's here, because I think it would be fair to say that every single person who's spoken is made up in their mind that we need a fresh start. We need new owners. I think it'd be fair to say that that's everyone's angle. But what I would ask is there anyone here who goes to West Ham and supports West Ham because they genuinely expect or thought that they would be supporting a top 6 side or a league winning side?
Never, mate. We never grew up with that.
Because
all I want is someone to put the shirt on, play with a bit of pride and passion. That's all I want. Be entertained. That is all I want. Don't kiss the badge, because when I know you don't mean it. That's all I want. Someone to run out there, run for 90 minutes, entertain me so I can go home. Give us a cup run every 5-6 years, rather than sort of silly games like against Oxford and things like that. Or as Neil says, this year will be our year and none of us will be able to go.
I think what you're saying, Andy, as well, is they almost promised us a dream we weren't asking for.
Well, I think this is a strange defence that they fall back on. So if I was going to look and search around for any credit that I could give them anywhere, the one thing I could probably give them was that at times they have spent money. At times they've spent money. If I was really scratching around, like, can I find something? Can I find anything positive to say about these people? Can I scratch something up? At times they've spent money, and you know, and what they try and fall back on as a defence is, oh, we have, you know, look, we have signed this player, we have signed this player, we have signed this player. Really, ultimately, no one really cares. No one really cares that much. We've only ever finished third. No, and I'd go one step further, and I'd actually go so far as to say, football fans kind of like being a bit shit. Football fans kind of like supporting an underdog side, being the underdog, getting a cup run, getting a league finish every now and again. I'm not saying that you have I'm not saying that you have an aspiration to be shit, but you know, I've been to every league ground in the country, and I've a fair few of them as I've been as a neutral fan, and I've spoken to, you know, like Swindon Town fans, or like, you know, Northampton fans, or Notts County fans, or whatever, and they kind of like not being Man City. They kind of like not being Liverpool. And I think for the owners to fall back on a defence of saying, oh, but we have put some money into the club, we're really trying. People don't act, that's not people's real gripe with these owners, you know. People's real gripe with these owners, I think, comes from the fact that football has been a victim of its own success, because football has got to a point where it became so commercialized, or has become so commercialized, that an owner sees it as a license to print money. Now, it's not an uncommon thing for a group of football fans to be disillusioned with their owners. Like, search for a club in the country where they're advocates of their owners, and they are few, you know, they're few and far between. Look at West Ham's history of Kearns. I remember I was probably at one of Date's protests. I remember having a brown out flag and going and standing outside, I think it was Southampton at home, a night game, whatever, with my brown out flag outside the, you know, I was only a teenager, but I can remember doing that. So I think football's success, where it is a game that can be commercialized to such an extent because of the exciting product that it is and the emotional connection that people have with it, has led to a point where football owners see it as a license to print money. So what you do is you get these people coming into football who think, let me buy that club and let me bleed that emotional connection, bleed that commercialization, bleed that monetization as dry as I possibly can, because it's much easier than running Tesco when I'd actually have to look after my customers. I don't have to do that at a football club. In fact, I could do nothing and they will buy a season ticket every year. I could invest nothing and they, you know, but then what you need, and what is our responsibility, it's our responsibility to paint a picture for an owner of actually how it could be the complete flip of that. Because what you won't get, as much as football is a license to print money, and as much as our current owners want to turn their back on every single person who's sitting on this panel tonight, because our owners will say we're a pain in the backside, because we love West Ham too much, because we expect too much. We expect to be part of the club. We expect to have a connection. We expect to have a voice at the club. And our owners who want to print money will say, we don't want a fans group. We don't want to talk to you. We don't care what you think about the badge. We don't care who sits in those seats. An intelligent owner would come in and say, right, do you know what? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, just as tonight as an example, who are giving up 2 hours of their time because they love my product so much. Am I paying them to do it? No. They're giving up 2 hours of their time to try and make a positive, you know, improvement in my business. So as much as you can own Tesco and you say, right, customer comes first, and that will help our business because we don't want them to go to Sainsbury's, you're not going to get 8 people to sit on a show and talk about their love for Tesco. So you're not going to get advocates for your business. So I think we have a massive opportunity now as a club to pull together and to say, right, we know it's done. It's right. In my opinion, there's no way back for these people. There's no way back, in my opinion. And I think we need to keep protesting. We need to keep highlighting what they've done wrong. We need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and they need to go. But I think that gives us a massive opportunity as a club to see if we can buck the trend in football, and to see, can we, I'm talking about we as in like literally the people on this call, we as a fans group, we as a fan base, can we identify from what's gone wrong, what are the principles that we would want to be upheld at a football club? How could we possibly feel connected to our football club? Because I tell you what, it's not a toxic side. That's not a principle of West Ham. The principle might be the fans should have say in what the badge is. The principle might be that the memorial gardens and our history should be looked after. The principle might be that our history should be represented at our ground. What are the principles that will connect us to West Ham so that we then have that ready for a new owner where we can say, right, when you come in and buy us, because we need an investor, it's modern football, we need money, we're not stupid, we know we need someone rich, but when you come in and buy us, if you work with us, we've got a set of principles that will bring you the fan base. And actually then what you will get as an owner is you will get a stronger brand. If you're only interested in printing money and you can make a connection between us, the fans, your advocates, the people with an emotional connection, you will end up with a stronger brand that makes you more money. Yeah. So McDonald's will put in comfortable seats because they know it's going to improve their brand. They don't give a shit whether the customers are comfortable or not, but the customers still get the benefit of the comfortable seats. So if the owner was willing to come along and work with a fans group and say, yeah, do you know what? Let's build a safe standing area how you want it. Let's rebuild that how you want it. They might
just
only
heed our advice. That's all it is. Heed the advice we're giving.
Exactly. I mean, and you know what? We'd all probably go and labour there to build it. They wouldn't even have to pay anyone. But
mate, they know full well if they needed help, people like you look at lower clubs, they always put out pings on Twitter. Yeah. Look, we need your help. Can you help clear the pitch from snow or whatever? People go out and do it. People do it because of the love of their club.
Yeah, and if they said to you,
I've done that at Upton Park in the past, so I've actually cleared the snow
exactly
off the pitch with other members of staff at Upton Park.
And Harry, if they'd have said to you, we are dead on our knees as a club.
We've tried everything. We need. Can some fans give up 3 hours on a Saturday morning? Get here at 7. Just whatever you can do. Bring a shovel and get that snow off that pitch to get this game on. You know full well every single one that's not working or isn't busy, isn't looking after kids or whatever. Probably bring their kids knowing our lot. Yeah. Bring a shovel when you get on with it.
This is why people feel so disillusioned, because you wouldn't actually care if Tesco turned their back on you, because you'd be like, well, do you know what? I wasn't that emotionally connected to them anyway.
Got other supermarkets. I haven't got another football club. I haven't got another thing in this world I love more, other than my family, obviously. I've not got another thing in this world I love more than this football club. And they have had chance after chance to rectify things, but they just don't give a shit. And it's come to the end of the line now. Everyone's got the hump. Everyone's sick of them.
I don't think they would let you do that, by the way. Just sorry, Andy. Go on. What you're saying, you're absolutely right. You've all seen it. The lower leagues, the pitch gets covered in snow, the fans come down, and all of that sort of stuff. Our owners wouldn't want us to do that, even if they needed the help, because they wouldn't want to feel that we'd given them a favour and they owed us something back. They don't want any of that stuff.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I want to So this is kind of where I want to finish on that point is that our owners see us, if you like, as an issue. They see people who have a strong emotional connection with the club as an issue because, what if they don't like the club? They might damage the brand. Let's just get someone in or let's just, make sure pay the TV subscription. That's fine. But you look at a club where this has worked, and you look at Dortmund, who were on their knees as a club. Dortmund were in as much of a mess as we are, right? And Dortmund fans got together, and Dortmund fans said, what should our club be? And you now look at, even though Dortmund is obviously now a club with a strong brand, you look at part of the brand of Dortmund, and part of the way that Dortmund make money is that they portray themselves, and they actually are a club that has a strong connection to their supporter base, and actually now is famous across the world for how fantastic their supporter base is and what that connection is. So we have an opportunity at West Ham, I believe, to bring everyone together to say, what should our club be? What are our principles? And when our new owners come in, let's make sure that they understand that it will be in their best interests to bring everybody together under those principles.
I think it's I think that's got to be done. I just want to bring everybody back in. Datey, first of all, are you there, Datey? We can only see you.
Mate.
Hello, mate. Yeah, sorry, we can see your ceiling, mate.
I know
Lovely
it's getting
Beautiful.
better. The issue, the one word not one person has said over here on any of this tonight is apathy. And I think now the West Ham support is so split. And don't get me wrong, the real West Ham fans group, 16,000. Hammers United, 16,000. That's still such a minute amount, percentage-wise, of people actually go over there. Because not all of those 16,000 people go. You get people who are curious of, what's this Hammers United about? I'll join. Yeah, they're never going to get involved in anything. And I think the biggest issue at the moment is, and Neil mentioned it earlier, and I'm probably in the same boat as Neil because we drink in the same sort of pubs and circles and know a lot of the same people. People now have just got to the point of just gone, fuck it, I can't be bothered anymore. And that's such a sad thing for people who've been going for 40 years, 50 years or whatever, and they just can't be bothered. We won on Sunday night against Wolves, and you looked at, and again, the worst thing about all of this is social media. On a Sunday night, as soon as the final whistle went, I clicked on Facebook, had a quick look, and everyone's going, oh, all you GSB haters, where are you now? And you think, that's one game. And it's so much bigger than just the football on the pitch, I've got to be honest, where it stinks. But so many people just seem happy. Oh, it's a nice, bright, shiny stadium, or it's a nice walk. We can walk through Westfield and buy some socks or wherever we want to do. That's not what being a football supporter is all about. We're not allowed to walk through Westfield. No, but you know what I'm saying, Dan? People almost now make a day of it, whereas in the old days, people used to make a day of it and go to the pub with their mates or whatever. So many people don't even do that now. And I know people who literally will get a train from Shenfield at 2 o'clock for a 3 o'clock kickoff. They get on the train, off the train, walk to the ground, vice versa going home, and they're back indoors at 6, 6:30. Well, and those people you're never going to get to change because so many of them say, oh, well, the travel's a lot better than it used to be because it did used to be a nightmare getting out of Upton Park. Or this is better, or it's better for kids, or you can buy popcorn in there, or whatever it is. It's not. We were sold something that everyone bought into because at the end of the day we all thought we were going to be successful, and this is just like a car crash. I've got to be honest, and it's getting worse. They don't help themselves on social media. There's obviously people probably everyone on this. The 8 people on this probably all belong to all the same different groups. You've got they almost feel like spies who just can't help but stick up for them. And what have you got to whine about? We've got a lovely stadium. We've got this. We've got that. At the end of the day, it's just shit.
Why don't you just get behind the team? That's the one. You can't criticise the owners and support the team. It's crazy.
Well, I'll be honest, Chris. The same as Harry. I've had my away season tickets since day one. Away games I love because I get to meet people who I've seen every week for years and years and years. I enjoy myself. Home games I absolutely hate. Things like I know this is going slightly off topic. The away supporters, I say, I'm not any better than any other supporter that goes in that ground. I fully appreciate that. When we played Wimbledon in the Cup the other year, yeah, I've had an away season ticket. I did not get a ticket for that game. Yeah, I know loads of other people that haven't got away season tickets. They were literally giving tickets away outside afterwards, before the game. And you just think something stupid like it's wrong. But
did they not give them to corporate for that game as well? Did they not?
No, I'm not going to mention the person's name. I got on a coach. I got on Dennis's, rest in peace, his coach from Hall Church, and there was someone on that thing who had over 40 tickets on them for the game. Now, it's always happened. It's always happened to the likes of Creasy and people like that. I get that. But when I spoke to West Ham, I know you don't get any loyalty as an away season ticket. We had a fire a couple of years ago, and we lost all our computer information. I want a lot of shit. And I spoke to someone else the next day, and they went, oh, no, we changed programs. And you just think, even at that level, you're lying.
I don't think they... I don't think they're bothered about sorting out the tickets and the rest of it. I do think it's a hassle. I think if they thought they could earn extra brownie points by sorting tickets out, they'd do it. I just think they're completely incompetent at things like that. And I actually think that they see ticketing and things like that as a complete distraction from what they want to do. which is basically fatten us up for the kill, you know, fatten us up for the sale sort of thing. Harry, there seems to be, the tide seems to be turning, at least externally. The media seem to be getting with us. I picked up the Metro the other day, or someone sent me a link to the Metro, and the journalist was quite scathing about the ownership. Do you feel like we're any closer, or do you think we're just still hitting our head against a brick wall? What more needs to be done?
Problem is, mate, as soon as it starts picking a bit of wind up in the press, look at Sunday Supplement. They made them apologise a week later. They don't want everyone to know how bad they are. Why would they? They don't want people to realise how bad they've got it at this club, how badly wrong they've got it. Of course they ain't going to want that. But the problem is, mate, we've got to, the more people that hear it, the more people that speak about it, the more role it gets, they start coming under pressure and they don't like it. It's been proven they don't like it. They've come out of, from what I've heard, they've come out and said they don't like it. It's got to carry on, mate. The press have got to carry on their backs to help us, because we can't do it without them. Without them doing it, they can put it out to the wider audience. We can get it between the West Ham fans, but that puts it in the spotlight in national press. That's what we need.
I definitely feel that the press, because that Sunday Supplement, I felt that was a turning of the tide. I thought a lot of the press thought, hold on a second, don't do that to us.
Yeah, of course it was, mate. Just trying to shut them up. They're a pack, aren't they? The press. You go on at one of them, and the rest of them all stick up for each other and go, well, hold on. And straight away, that was probably one of the worst things they could have done, because everyone's picking it up now. But the problem is, Sunday Supplement haven't really said anything since, because they know they'll have to apologise, and they know they'll probably get sued for it or whatever. They know they'll get in trouble for it.
Well, I just think I thought it was a really bad look, because the geezer looked bullied. He looked bullied, and it's never a good look. Do you know what I mean?
First thing you have to do on your programme. Last week, we'd like to apologise to the owners for what was said last week. Well, hold on. I'm not apologising for what I said. That's their opinion. You can't make someone apologise for an opinion. I think they made him apologise due to saying there's porter cabins at the club. I mean, there is porter cabins.
They're wrong. Yeah, they're wrong.
There is porter cabins.
Yeah.
So you can't make someone apologise for telling the truth. But they obviously haven't. It makes them even worse than what they are, doesn't it? They haven't helped themselves, have they, by doing it? Because you just go, well, hold on, they are telling the truth. So why are you making them apologise? You're making them apologise because you don't like being proven wrong. And they've always been like it.
Have you? I mean, the irony is on that. The one bit that is a porter cabin is the press room in the training ground. So I find it quite amusing that they're trying to tell the press who go into the porter cabin that there's not a bloody porter cabin.
But what makes it worse is, if you've seen that thingy Sullivan Jr.'s doing on BBC at the minute. Oh, mate, it's porter cabins. The ladies are getting changed in porter cabins. You can't tell me it ain't porter cabin. The manager's office is a porter cabin.
I'll throw you a bit of a curveball then, Harry, because I think you'll answer the question. It gets quite a lot of time. It gets said that you brought it up. Sullivan Jr., Jack Sullivan's being groomed for the job. I personally can think of nothing worse than another Sullivan taking control of West Ham after this Sullivan. You've seen the programme, mate. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, he's a kid. That's all he is. He's younger than me. He's younger than probably everyone in here. He is a child. There's no way. Look, I don't agree with everything my dad says or does. Yeah, we've all got our own opinions. We've all got our own brains. We've all got our own minds. So none of you, everyone here, will agree with everything their old man says. Yeah. Do I want him anywhere near that club? No, not really. I'll let him keep the ladies. Well, would I? Probably not. But him doing the ladies, okay, fine. It's a learning curve for him. But when his dad sells up, no, I don't really want him at the club at all. But he's a child. You can't put... If the old man said, look, I don't want it anymore, as of tomorrow, my son's stepping in, you cannot put a 20-year-old child in that line of fire without any backup or anything. Look how wrong his dad's got it, and he's what, 60, 70 odd? You can't put a 19-year-old in charge of a football club. No chance.
They'll probably bring Terry Brown back to help him out.
Well, that went well.
You never got rid of him, Date. He's still there.
And I might tell me about it.
Danny, you were speaking about the stadium earlier. I don't feel that you have to just stick to the stadium stuff. I brought you in on that because you've been on the OSB as well. Firstly, there's two things I'm going to say. Number one, I was going to ask you what you think of the stadium. Do you like it? Because you have renewed and you've gone back to another area of it, which I totally understand for the monetary reasons that you've given. How do you find your match day experience? Because there's going to be a lot of people. You hear it again. It's like, why don't you just get behind the team? A lot of people say, what are you moaning about? Unless you went to Upton Park and you've had it ripped away from you, you don't really understand. And I think secondly, the other thing I'd like to hear from you is David Sullivan is, by all accounts, completely addicted to running West Ham. Do you think that we've got a chance of getting rid of him?
I'll start with the stadium. 20 years I went Upton Park with my dad. I probably missed in that lifetime probably about 3 games. Since we've moved, I've missed more games. Me and my dad just don't feel nothing for the stadium. The walk to the stadium is dead. We've come in from different entrances to try a different point of view. I mean, it will never be home. We were so used to setting our ways at Upton Park. We'd, go to the betting shop, the chip shop, pie and mash shop, in the pubs. I mean, there's not even really any pubs near the ground as such. Not proper pubs, it's the Carpenters. We're not welcome in Westfield, quite clearly. They've put gates up to stop you going into the Cow pub for a start. They don't let you in with West Ham shirts, so you can't even really get food or anything from there. It's just, the whole experience of the stadium is it's just nothing there for us. I mean, during COVID, I said to my dad, do you miss going? He said, no, does not miss going one bit. And I'm the same. I'm not fussed if we go back there this year, because there is nothing there for us at that stadium for me and my dad. It is what it is. But unfortunately, I think until we do get new owners and possibly maybe move stadium or rebuild it in a certain way, I think we're just going to be stuck because they don't listen to us. They've had opportunities. They had the OSB. I mean, everyone on the OSB was there with the intention of improving. They're all West Ham supporters. I mean, the OSB get a lot of stick from people, but they were there to try and make things better. But it all boils down to the people in charge to listen to them people. And unfortunately, we've got people in charge of our club who are not football people. Our CEO, Sullivan Brady, she is not a football person. They need to hand it down to someone who is got that mindset. She's a businesswoman, she is, but she's not a football person. And we need the structure at the club. We've got no scouting network. We sacked a manager. They've now criticised him last week on TalkSport, and a director of football. We've got our own chairman saying that he bought 2 of our players and he pressured the manager into buying them.
Bullied them, I think you.
The whole structure is just terrible. I mean, we've sold. Moyes come in. He said his structure, what he wanted from the club was young British players. So we go and sell a young British player who's an academy player. We sell him to go and buy players. 4 weeks ago, Diagana's played 3 times for West Brom. We've not bought anyone. We're chasing a player who we can't afford. Byrne clearly said they want 50 million. We're messing around with 30 millions with add-ons. We've bid for a player supposedly last week, and we was going to pay in 6 years instalments. Why do clubs want to deal with us? We still owe money for Haller. We're just a laughing stock. There's chairmen out there that won't deal with us. Leicester City, Sporting Lisbon. How many other clubs? Tottenham won't deal with us. Until something changes, we're just going to be pretty much a circus, what we are. And it's got to stop somewhere. And they've got to start listening to the supporters to try and bury some hatchets with us and try and move on, because it doesn't look like they're going anytime soon. So, because the valuation of their club is probably about 300-400 million more than what it should be. Because do you think
that's just rubbish? Do you think we will get sold? Do you got any faith that we will? any point in the near future?
I do believe we'll get sold, but not until 2023, after the penalty clauses come out of it. I mean, I think they will take an investor to help them, but they won't sell the club fully. And if anything, I could imagine them selling the club and still wanting to own a part of the club. I mean, Terence Brown, he's on the honorary life president. They made him that. There was a Brown out campaign to get him out, and why bring him back? They just mess up every single time, but they never have an apology for us. It's always someone else's fault. It's Pellegrini's fault. It's Julius's fault. We tried the director of football. We tried the exotic manager. Wasn't good, so we've gone back to Moyes. But they never said, all right, David Moyes, sorry we sacked you in the first place. They just never admit their mistakes, and that's their problem with them. Admit their mistakes and start telling people that we are sorry, we will try and improve it. Not just keep going on radio stations, in the press, and they just dig themselves deeper. I mean, we've got a chance of winning a cup. We've got a chairman moaning that he's got to pay 50,000 to take the team there.
I so much wanted someone to have a whip around just to embarrass them. Do you know what I mean?
There is a GoFundMe page on the internet.
Is there? I'm sorry, I'm not on social media at the moment, so I didn't know that there was. But I don't blame anyone at all. I'll just move over other Danny now. Danny, I mean, regardless of, I don't know what your opinion is, but whether you think David Moyes is good, bad, or indifferent, and clearly he's not anybody's first choice. He's not even our owner's first choice. But he's having to do a job with one hand tied behind the back, mate.
No, I've never been one to slag off managers, even when we had Big Sam. I've never slagged off a manager. Moyes wouldn't have been my choice. And then when they get rid of him and then say, oh, he's not the man for the job, and then suddenly he's the man for the job, tells you they ain't got a clue what they're doing. And they're quite happy to go for the cheapest option available, time after time. They've got a golden goose that's laid an egg. They're not going to go anywhere until, as the other Danny says, 2023. And even then, they're not going to relinquish. And if his son then gets his hands on it, that will be my time to say goodbye, and I will have had enough. Just be, for me, the final straw.
No, I think. Do you think? Just sort of looking at it, and just that Danny touched on COVID. Then, it's certainly something that I feel. Do you feel this whole situation with the lockdown and no fans in stadium and everything else? Do you think this is and them not having to answer? I mean, you look, we've got Andy there in the chat. They've not had to answer to Hammers United at all. Do you think this whole situation has played into their hands, Danny?
Unbelievably. You think we had the march, I think it was it the end of February, the 29th of February, 9,000 people roughly marched. It made all the papers, made the Sky News. Then suddenly we had the lockdown. It's played into their hands. And now we're watching football behind closed doors, which for me is absolute. It gives me nothing. When I'm sitting there, even when we was winning the other day, it's just not the same. Football without fans is, I'll go and stand over the park and watch a kick about, to be honest with you. I want to see us win. But yeah, it has played into their hands. We had the momentum, and now it's all fell back to them again. But as I say, I just feel, especially Sullivan, he doesn't care. He will blatantly lie. He's got no feeling whatsoever. He'll tell us anything he thinks we want to hear. And if it's a blatant lie, we all know it's a blatant lie. But as that Andy Date touched on earlier, there's a lot of people that are happy over there. And unfortunately, so if 10,000 of us are marching, there's still 40,000 turning up that day. Keep getting me network is going down.
You're right, we can hear you.
40,000 reasonably happy with the place.
I do think 10,000 has a hell of an impact, though, mate. Go on, sorry, carry on.
I'm just saying, the moment I get off the train, the whole walk. So I think it was New Year's Day. I went because I wanted to write a poem about the new gaff. New Year's Day, I went down there with my little notebook, walked around the whole stadium. I come away with not one word. Not one word. Now I can walk to my local shop with my pad and pen literally down the road, and I could write a poem, honestly. But there was nothing there. The whole place said nothing to me. Literally, it didn't touch my heart. Do you get what I mean? It just, there was nothing there. And I done a whole loop of the stadium, got back to the shop, looked at my book. I met a mate. We went down the pub, and he said to me, he said, "You look like you're going to cry, Dan." I said, "Look at my pad. There's nothing." I said, "That place, it just holds no, I've got no connection with the place whatsoever." Recently, they put a big picture of Frank Lampard Jr. up outside the ground. Whatever you think, for me, he was a good player, but for Chelsea, he put his dad up by all means, but they just seem to shoot themselves in the foot time after time after time and don't care about it.
Well, what I'd say about that, I think what happened is they meant to put his dad up, but there's too many people working in that club who aren't West Ham fans, right? And there's loads of them. It should be part of the job. That should carry some sort of value, some currency in a job interview. You go for a job interview. One of the first question I'd ask is, are you a West Ham fan, right? Because a West Ham fan, at the point where the head of media turns around and says, "You know what we need? A massive poster of Frank Lampard." A West Ham fan's going to think, "Oh, not a problem." A Chelsea fan, "Oh, there's only one Frank Lampard." They don't even think Frank Lampard Jr.
There was an issue. There was an issue. I went into the club shop and I picked up a chopping board, a wooden chopping board with the words "To I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" on it. Now, the main ethos of that song, "The dreams don't reach the sky, they nearly reach the sky." Now, this is in the club shop. On the chopping board, it said they reach the sky. So I went up to the counter and said, "What's wrong with that?" And they actually didn't know. They actually didn't know. I said, "Well, look, they don't actually reach the sky. They nearly." So they took them all off the shelves, and I got an email off them with the picture of the new one where they put in "they nearly reach the sky," but they put another 3 errors in it. Now, picture Liverpool with "You'll Never Walk Alone." Someone wouldn't get that wrong at Liverpool, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
they
no,
would
I
get
agree.
the words "so you'll never walk alone" correctly. As you say, we need people there. Like when I worked there, as I say, virtually everyone in the building was a West Ham fan. Everyone was there, well, coming into work and would have worked for nothing.
Well, I'm just surprised they actually commissioned some new chopping boards and didn't just sort of scrape it out and try and do a sort of bit of a retro job on it. In terms of your little pad, your little poetry pad, I'm sure there's a few people in the chat who probably could have thought of a word, mate, quite frankly. Going on to Neil. Neil, we've touched on the surface of the stadium. And when I was listening to Danny Proctor earlier, when he was talking about taking his seats and these nice seats, and I go to you on this because of the Long Live the Boleyn. Still, it is so far from the pitch, and I feel like we're sort of rearranging the chairs on the Titanic to a certain extent with this whole thing. Surely the stadium. We can't move forward as a club until that stadium's sorted out. Surely.
Just before you start, just want to. That's it. Can you see the proper badge? Yeah.
We can.
Right, that's good. Right, I wanted to clear that one up. I've been dying to get that one in. Yeah. Oh, dear. Where did it start? It is what it is. It was built as an athletic stadium. And obviously, rather than end up with, do you remember the old Barcelona Olympic Stadium that sat on the hill like a white elephant? Rather than that, we got it on the cheap. Barry Byrne stuck his 2 penneth in, but let's face it, Orient were never going to get a ground share, and Tottenham tried to throw a spanner in the works. But come on, look, I mean, if you think about it, right on the borders of Stratford and virtually in Tower Hamlets and Newham, Tottenham were never ever going to have their ground near. I mean, years back you'd get grounds like Everton, Liverpool across the park, Dundee United, you know, they're right on top of one another. But no one would relocate on someone else. That was never going to happen. So we was always in line to get that on the cheap. And that really sums it all up for me. Everything is on the cheap. You know, I'm not going to, they're not thick. I mean, I don't know many thick billionaires. I don't know if you do, but so they are businessmen, and that's what they are. But football people, yeah, gold supports the club or has got a affinity towards the club, but really, what'd you do with that place? To come back to your question, they've tried to arrange it. We had all the big ticker tape parade, and they put the claret carpet in. I remember it. Even Antonio went up and laid down and blessed it as a part of the joke on it, and then we got the. I've never known. I did find out actually because I wanted to know why. If you're bearing down as a player towards a goal and you see your own 3,000 supporters right behind that goal, that's a bit of a faux pas for me. I know that the Premier League don't let you put anyone up in the air anymore like they do at Newcastle or whatever, but surely move them right round to the side would have helped rather than having them right behind that goal for starters. So the whole sort of layout of it, there was talk about years back of having a singing area, an area concentrated for the people who like to sing because it's sporadic over there. Couple of the best atmospheres over there, got to be Chelsea in the cup. When we beat them, Tottenham. But other than that, really, come on. I mean, it is flat. Like the Emirates, that's no different. The atmosphere there, the Emirates is exactly the same. I mean, on the last game before lockdown, I think Date was there, actually. I stood there when we should have won that game. And the atmosphere only comes from us. So the whole ground, no, I'm not interested. Going back to the other thing, knocking it down, that's never going to happen. Unless someone came in and knocked it down and then built a 25,000-seat athletics stadium just further away near the copper box or whatever, and then rebuilt a stadium. But that ain't going to happen. Going on to them leaving, I think they will sell. And if that clause is in 23, that might be linked into the buyout. But the problem they got with a buyout is no matter what you value it at, you can come in at 350 and then go in again at 400. Newcastle were what, 270 to 300. So we've got to stick another 50 on that for being a London club. That's for starters. Now, any investor, no matter what it is you're going to buy for that amount of money, you want to get inside the data room. Because if you don't know what you're buying, what debts you're taking on, how do you know what to value it at? How can Sullivan turn around and say it's worth 800 million, 700 million, and someone on the other end who may want to invest will go, oh yeah, you're probably right, it is worth. How do they know what the debts are? If they can't get in or they're not being shown what there might be players on contract there, they've got loads of debt sticking over there. How would you know what you're buying? So, is he playing a game? Yeah, probably. The way sometimes I look at Sully and think, well, he probably think if the fans drive him out, he'll raise the club to the ground and he'll think, well, if I'm not having it, they ain't having it. It's just the way it's got. As for his son, no, I don't think that'll happen either. If Sullivan was driven out, why would he want to leave a legacy like that for his own boy to take over? It'd be a complete nightmare. So I can't see that happening either. But selling it, yeah, I think they might. But as you said or someone said earlier, one swallow don't make a summer. So you get a couple of good results. I mean, when you look at the games coming up, they're a bit tricky, but. As soon as we start losing again, the pressure will be back on them, because that is what will happen. But no, it's just I think it's just prolonging it really, and things ain't going to get any better. We turn a corner, then we end up going back again. So no, I don't. Just one last thing about the fans, Andy. Again, going back to Date there is people that say where are the GSB 8s? Look, I mean, on long to the bowling, 15,500 there. I don't. It's not a. That's probably one word to use. Protest page. I mean, I don't really consider them protest. They're paid. All them pages are pages for people put their opinions on, and pages like Hammers United are more pro anti-ball, not team, not anti-team, anti-ball. The bowling one, I've had people on there who don't like the ball, but they don't dislike them. But someone said earlier, you've got to allow people to have their opinions, and then you try and listen to that opinion. You can't coach someone because they disagree with it. But no, it is getting stronger, the feeling. I've noticed it looking across the groups, and more people. It's not just to do with losing; it's just to do with the whole situation, really. So now I've got more of a past than a future, so I'll just hang on to what I've had, really, to be honest with you, because I can't see I can't see anything good coming out of it. But no, I'll keep cracking on, and long live the bowling.
Absolutely, mate. Andy, something that Neil just touched on there, which was about one swallow don't make a summer, and he mentioned about momentum as well. I'm thinking about Hammers United now, because when I look at that, I sometimes let me put it right. This chat is full of people who are unhappy with the owners, but do support the team. So when it's levelled against you, you know, why don't you just get behind the team? I think all of us here go to a game and sing ourselves horses, some, you know, so we can barely speak the next day, right? But we don't like the owners. I do find for Hammers United, one of your biggest stumbling blocks is going to be when we do get a little bit of a string of results together. Perhaps a lot of people lose their motivation to get involved. I know I'm asking you a tricky question. What can you do as a supporters group to keep that momentum going? So even though we might beat Wolves 4-0, the problems still remain. We haven't beaten Wolves 4-0 because suddenly we've signed Cristiano Ronaldo. We've still got a depleted squad. We've still got everything is still inherently wrong with a club. How can you deal with that, mate?
I think first of all, mate, it would be, you know, I'd just like to say that I agree with what you've said. You know, we would be naive if we thought that we would have 16,000 members and the exponential growth that we've had if West Ham had been a top half side for the last year. It wouldn't have happened. You know, people have joined because they've seen what's been happening with the protests and because they've been unhappy with results. But I think the results rub salt in a wound that already exists, and it's our job, so to speak, to make sure that people still feel the pain of the wound that does already exist, and people don't forget that pain. And just because you put a little pass on it with a couple of results, it still hurts, you know. And I think to answer your question, sorry, am I really echoing at the minute, or
you're fine? It's fine. I can hear you. We can hear you.
So I think to answer your question, mate, I'd like to try and join up a few of the things that the other guys have said, and really to lead towards something that Andy kicked off this second round with. So Neil has said it at the back end there that they're not, the Gold and Sullivan in particular, they're not stupid, and I agree with what he's saying there. They're not stupid as business people, and I think that they know exactly what they're here for. And they know exactly what they're trying to take out of the club. I think that leads on to what Danny Proctor was saying when he said that supporters don't feel listened to. Well, they're not going to feel listened to because Sullivan's not here to listen to supporters. I think he's, you know, unashamedly not here to listen to supporters. I think you know, coming back to what Neil said, he's not stupid. He's here for money. And he's not interested whether the supporters like him or not. I mean, what did he have? 17 years at Birmingham, 10 years at West Ham. That's 27 years of being pretty unpopular, and I really don't think he minds. I really don't think he's bothered at all. So, you know, he does know what he's doing. Danny's right. He's not going to listen to supporters because he doesn't care. To follow on to what Danny Fenn was saying, he's saying that then off the back of Sullivan knowing what he's doing, not listening to supporters, Danny's saying he doesn't feel a connection with the club. And I think that the three, you know, one leads on to the other. You're not going to feel a connection with the club if the person in charge of your club is only there to, you know, to take money out of the club. Let's say, you know, that's my opinion of what he's there for. I think he's there to take money out of the club. Off the back of that, he's not going to listen to what fans want. He's not going to be worried about giving you free travel from away games or requesting a maximum allocation or telling you the truth about who's on the waiting list or relocating your seat to or away fans in the home. He's not going to be worried about any of that as long as he's taking his money from the club. And so off the back of that, you're not going to feel a connection because the only way you're going to feel a connection with the club is if you've got an owner who's there to generate that connection in some way, shape or form. I mean, look at what happened to the Memorial Gardens. You know, you are not going to feel a connection with your club if your club are not even, you know, are not even inclined to even go down and take a look at the Memorial Gardens. How are you going to feel a connection with that club? And then, you know, all of that really comes on to what Harry was saying, because Harry said that it's important that the mainstream media push those messages. So the message of Sullivan, you know, wanting to take money out of the club like he does with his interest repayments. The message that Danny's saying about Sullivan not wanting to engage with fans and Gold and Brady, not wanting to engage, you know, like he says, minutes have been changed from OSB meetings. They don't care. They don't want to know what fans think. The message that Danny's saying about fans not feeling connected to the club, and what Harry's saying about the media is that we need the media to push those messages, because it's not what Jim White says, where he says, you know, why are West Ham fans unhappy? Like, you know, they've got a decent
they're spending
team.
money, they're doing this, but they're not.
Yeah,
they're not.
You know, the whole thing about the Dean Garner sale, right? Let's be honest, okay? We're all upset. We're all frustrated. We didn't want him to go. He is a kid coming through the academy, but was, you know, or is Dean Garner the next Rio Ferdinand or Joe Cole or Michael Carrick or Frank Lampard or Jermaine Defoe? Probably not. And if our club was in a completely different climate, you would not have had that uproar about Dean Garner leaving. It's a poor decision. I was gutted to see him go, but the problems, the problems that exist at our club is what Neil's talking about, that he knows what he's doing. Danny's talking about, you know, that they won't listen. Danny's talking about there's no connection to the fan base. And that comes to what you've got to get the media to understand. Those are the problems at our club. And just to kind of finish going around what people have said, really I'd like to kind of throw a question to Andy, because what Andy mentioned was the word apathy. And as a group, apathy has been what we've come up against. So what we don't come up against is kind of what Neil touched on. We don't really come up against people that say, Gold, Sullivan and Brady are fantastic owners. Look what they've done for this club. They've done this, that and the other, and they are brilliant owners. We don't really come up against people who say that. And before COVID, I went through probably maybe like 8 to 10 away games on the trot where I would hand out leaflets at every game. The only negative reaction we would get was one of apathy, where people would say, oh, but, you know, are they really that bad? Or they would say, but come on, like, how are you going to change it? Like, oh, what's all this about? You know, you're never going to bring about any change. And it wasn't a reaction to say, we love West Ham, we love Gold, Brady and Sullivan, we're really happy. The reaction was, oh, I'm just fed up. The reaction was like, I don't know if I can be bothered anymore. And this is kind of what Andy was saying. And the question I wanted to throw over to Andy was, I think my opinion would be that apathy leaves a void in this case of something that was there. So that apathy has taken the place for a lot of people of a very strong emotional connection and a very strong passion. It's now been replaced by apathy, but I think that apathy leaves a void in that person for that passion and that emotional connection to be somehow reignited. Now, it could be reignited with fishing, you know, it could be reignited with a crossword. I don't know if people are going to go and get that passionate about fishing and crossword, but when someone's apathetic, there's a void in their life for that apathy to be replaced eventually by passion and emotion again. And I guess my question for Andy is, I fully agree with what he's saying about apathy, but if we as a fan base take this opportunity to paint a picture of what it could be like, should be like at West Ham, to educate those people who are apathetic, who didn't go to the bowling, who do just go for a day, to tell them what should it be like to be a West Ham fan, to what should our principles be, to paint that picture and to say, do you know what, alongside a new owner, we could get you this back. My question to Andy is, do you think we could fill the void that is created by apathy with a bit of passion again if we were to tell those fans, paint for those fans, this is what it could be?
I think it goes. I'll be honest, Dan, it goes in two things. I think you've got an element of people that are hankering and so much for what we used to have, and I know you're never going to get it back, but a lot of them I just think would quite happily go back to what we were in the past. I've got to be honest, I'm one of those. I don't make any bones about it. I'd love to win the Champions League. I'd love to play in the Champions League just for one season, but got to be honest, I can't imagine it happening in my lifetime. The other problem you've got is you've got a new school of supporter and an old school of supporter, and that's nothing to do with age. That's nothing to do with anything. A lot of it's just due, as Harry said earlier, principles, morals, etc., etc. You go over there now, and a lot of people probably don't know any different. They've never had the Upton Park on a Tuesday night, freezing cold, but having an absolute great evening. Yeah, they now go to a soulless bowl. A lot of them, and people that sit around me, and again, I've got all season ticket holders. When we moved over there, I've got 90% of the people around me have been in their seats since day one of this stadium. We're really glad about it, because a lot of the time you end up just having a chat with your mates about how you've been, what you've been up to, blah, 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 how's your missus, oh, that was good. And a lot of the time you actually do revert back to great nights or great days you used to have. And I know that's an age thing. So Dan. But it just I don't. I wish I knew the answer, because there's such a big element of people that just honestly now, whether they're tired of being there, seen it, got the T-shirt in the past, and are just fed up of protesting, have just thought, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put my hands up. It's not going to get any better. I've got two choices: I either go over there and just moan about it, or I'll give my ticket up. And unfortunately, a lot more people are giving their tickets up now.
So I was just saying, the question is then, could we give them a third choice, of possibly getting something back? I don't know.
I'd love to say, whether it's you, anyone, give people a third choice. That would be, yeah, of course, that's what most people who've been there, seen it, done it, would obviously like. But I don't know. I think they've just got so much power over there. They're so uncaring about people that have supported this club for 40, 50 years. Has already been mentioned, they don't want all the old school people in there. They're quite happy, I know, in the past, like selling their packages via Thomas Cook and all that sort of stuff. I think it's the way football's generally become, but I think we've had it a lot worse. Like, people always slag Mike Ashley off. He's a saint compared to this lot. And he is. He lent Newcastle money and he's getting it back at 0% interest. I wish our lot were doing that. And then, like, silly things like Karen Brady. How on earth would the club let her still write a weekly column in a shit newspaper?
Sorry, mate. Yeah, it was basically what I'm trying to say is, all I keep hearing and seeing is, oh, well, we can't spend this because we haven't got no money. The COVID's really affected us. But how has it affected us as a club so bad compared to every other club in the league? Why? Why has it bothered us? You've got, no disrespect, you've got teams smaller, would I say? You look at West Brom, probably a smaller club, arguably. What I'm trying to say is, why has no one else been affected? Why are teams like Everton going to get Rodriguez? Why is Newcastle Callum Wilson? But we can't spend nothing because we've got no money. Hold on. We haven't even got a ground. We pay £2 million a year. We've got barely any staff we pay, other than obviously you got your wages, but every club's got that problem, so don't give me that crap. Why is it us that's got the problem? Why? Where has it gone so wrong that they're now falling back on the excuse of COVID? The PR at the club is an absolute fucking shambles. Shambles. Like, look at, we got dumped out of the cup by Wimbledon. I know what we'll do. We'll announce Anatovich on a new deal after he refused to play for us. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like Danny said, or someone else said, sorry, about the Lampard thing at the ground. What you're telling me that no one else has looked at that? The only person that's agreed it's been one person. What? No one else has gone, hold on a fucking minute. Something ain't right here. Hold on. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a pie up as well. All right, he gave us probably the best season I've ever had. He's refused to play for the club. Goodbye. That's it. Once you refuse to put that shirt on, whatever your personal life is, that's enough for me. It's just comical, mate. We're brain dead, mate. We employ idiots. We're owned by idiots, and the fans are being taken for idiots. But these are the sort of things that Jim White has got to wise up to. I know he's Sullivan's best mate or whatever. He loves him, but there's a lot of us that don't. Stop trying to manipulate us into being the bad guys because we're not happy that they've paid 45 million for a striker. Well, that's great, but we're not even paying for the bastard. We're refusing payments on him. Danny said about investors wanting to get involved. Who would want their name tarnished with that lot? Who would put their name to that lot? We're refusing payments on 5 million because we can't afford it. We just sold Dean Garner for 18. What do you mean we can't afford it? You haven't bought anyone. You haven't spent that money. The money's still there. You can't tell me we can't afford it. We got paid 130 odd million for staying in the league. Where's that money gone? It's just, he blamed us for the appointment of Pellegrini and Husilios. Come off it. You can't. It's bollocks. It's just bollocks. I'm just at the point where I've run out of words to just describe the state we're in. It's just error after error after error. It's PR disaster relentlessly. It's just constant bollocks, mate. Like Andy said, we try and give them an olive branch. We try, not because I don't want them to fucking succeed. I want them gone. But I don't want my club to be a fucking laughing stock. That's all I want. I just want us to be an half normal run club. We can't fucking get. I've never been right, look, I grew up, we've never been good. I've never expected us to go and win an FA Cup. I've never win a fucking trophy in my life other than the playoffs. Like, I've never been this sort of club that's gone, we're going to win the league. I might joke and say we'll win the treble, but knowing full well we never will, right? But you sold us this dream. You told us we're competing. I never asked for that. You told me we are. So now fucking deliver. Now deliver on it. You've told me we'll compete. Why can't we be the next Atletico Madrid? Well, because you don't spend the fucking money. You haven't got the scouting network. The youth system we bring through is great. You then fucking sell it. Other than Rice, which will now get sold, which I can't blame Rice for because we can't hold him back. He's too good for us. He's far too good for us the way we run. You're relying on a 32-year-old Mark Noble, 33-year-old Mark Noble. You can't do it anymore. They've got to realise you've got to spend some money. Oh, and then he went on TalkSport the other day and said, I can't just go buy players. Well, hold on. What about Wellington and Paul Lester? You signed him and Big Sam walked into him on a Monday morning. You can't tell me you don't do it, Sullivan. It's another lie. You've just lied on national radio. It's just lie after lie after lie. It's things he hasn't even got to lie about. Big Sam's already called him out on it numerous times. Why lie? It's just, I'm the same as many others. We're just sick of the bollocks. Just take the branch we're giving. It's never going to work. You're never going to turn it around. But just heed the advice we're giving to give yourself that 5%, if that, of leeway, just so it gets us off your back. We'll never be off your back. We want you gone. But it looks, how do I word it? Like they're sort of understanding. They're sort of getting where we're coming from. They're listening more than they're listening to what we need and what we want. Like, I'm the same as Andrew. Like, we just want not to help them because I can't stand the blokes. But there's little things that we try and do. We try and help them with, and we try and advise them. Look, just listen to what we're saying. We're not doing it to mug you off. We're not doing it to cost you millions. We're doing it for our benefit. It's not going to cost you a penny. Like, fuck me, how much did it cost them to stick up a couple of bar ledges around the ground, stick your beer on? Well, fuck me, you go B&Q and get a big plank of wood. It's next to nothing. And that took them however long. It's just constant bollocks, mate. I'm just sick of the lot of it. I'm just sick of it. I just want them to go. I just want them gone, mate. I just want them gone. Just put the money up that you've made. You've obviously got the money. Stick it up. It's like what you said, Gonzo. I watched a video of yours. It's all right going to buy a Ferrari, but if you can't afford the parts, you can't afford to run it, then you sell it. You've got to sell it. If you can afford the parts, lovely. But if you can't do it, it's time to go.
That was based on my old Audi, actually. That was
Audi, Ferrari. I don't know why.
It was. I had an Audi. I had an £800 bill for brakes. But what? What? I get that. It was about 12 years. It was about 12 years old. I thought I'd get me a nice fast car, but no, I couldn't afford to run the fast car.
No, you can't run a Premier League club on a, what was the word that was used? On a next to nothing budget, or whatever the term that was put out there was. You want to get by minimum expenditure, I think the word was, minimal outlay. You can't do it. You can't do it because we've been lucky the last few years. Now, how many times have we had been in a relegation scrap since we moved? You can't keep doing it, mate. You can't keep getting away with it. You can't do it by the skin of your teeth every year. And that's what they want. They're just trying to buy their time and time. You can't do it. It's never going to work, mate. Eventually, we'll get caught out. If they don't spend, I think we're in trouble this year. And then they'll see how fucking panic they'll get.
Well, as Bubbles said to me when we finished doing a video a couple of weeks ago, he said you can't keep flirting with relegation and expect.
You can't, of course you can't. You promised us top. What was it? Challenge the best. Mate, we're challenging Fulham to see who goes down first. You can't tell me we're challenging the best. It's just they've completely lost touch. Gold, like I said, I do think you was once a fan. He's completely lost touch of that, mate. You hear it all the time. He lived on Green Street, but that's great. You obviously are now run by a pan though.
I think you've spoken very well and very passionately, Harry. I'll tell you what, there'll be a lot of people watching this totally agreeing with everything you just said.
I know because I'm 23 and there'll be a lot of people going, well, he don't know much. I'm not about my age. I'm not here for, I've been there this long or whatever, yeah? I'm not about that. I was brought up on the proper West Ham. I was brought up on going there. You could go there on your own. You could go there with nothing in your pocket and someone will buy you a beer. Someone will go, look here, mate, I've got you a spare ticket. That's what we are. We're a family. And I've never seen this club so divided in my life. And it breaks me. You go over there and you see people arguing. Like Danny Proctor said, you've got people with a fucking Man City full kit on standing next to you and you think you'd have got absolutely lynched at Upton Park. You wouldn't even made it towards the ground. But something's changed over here. Everyone's just not, like Date said, no one's fucking arse. No one cares. You go now because it's more of a chore. Don't go because you enjoy it. You used to get up in the morning, like Date. You used to get up and you were buzzing. You get out of that station, you smell the burgers, you'd smell Percy Ingles on the corner, and you'd hear the geezers £3.50 for a programme. I don't see a programme still until I'm on the fucking bridge. There's nothing to tell you you're at a football game. There's nothing. You can't. You've just, how many times do away fans come to this ground and sing "You're not West Ham anymore"?
It hurts. It hurts actually, doesn't it?
It hurts, mate. It cuts deeper than most things. You stand there and you know the worst, but you stand there and you laugh and you go, "We fucking ain't. We ain't. We're not. We ain't West Ham anymore." And you get that old people saying, "Yeah, we are," because the fans are still here. Problem is, mate, half the fans have gone. Half of these fans have walked away, and half of these fans will not return for as long as they're there.
All I will say is though, just what you said. Well, you said lots of good stuff then, but you're not West Ham anymore. I was totally unprepared for somewhere like that, and I thought, ouch. Yeah,
it does hurt, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does hurt when they see it, mate.
That was horrible. Datey, last words, mate. Last words.
I do think a lot of it goes back to people are hankering for what we had, and very, very quickly, last season when we played Man City, got talking to a couple of Man City supporters outside, and I actually asked them the question, would you not necessarily swap everything you've had over the last few years, but to go back to Main Road? And these three blokes, all to a T, went, I'd rip your hands off to go back to Main Road. And that's for a team that's successful. So you imagine how all of us must feel now that we're a million miles away from success. We really, really are. And as Harry said, I think we'll get relegated this season. I really do. Because we've been lucky the last couple of years. There's been three worse teams than us. I don't think there's three worse teams than us. And those that are on a level with us are all strengthening, improving, and will continue doing so until the window shuts. The only thing I'd like to ask is to Andrew is going forward over the next, obviously, I understand COVID and everything like that that's involved. Of Hammers United, I know you can't obviously divulge a lot of it, but have Hammers United got a lot sort of simmering away that they can do? Because obviously the last couple of home games, there's been a few people at the gates protesting. Got to be honest, pretty much the usual suspects. I'd never knock any of those because their heart's in the right place, but I think they're sort of a little bit disillusioned about the amount of numbers that are bothering going outside the gates. Is there any plans that, even if you can't sort of broadcast it, afoot?
Yes, there are, mate. Yeah, in short, there are. There's plenty of. We spend hours on end as a committee, discussing what we can do, because we understand that our members want to protest and our members want to be involved in those protests as well. We obviously have been down to the gates last few games because we want to keep the message ticking over, and we do what we can on social media. But the short answer to your question is, mate, yes, we are exploring every avenue. It's about all I can divulge at the minute, mate. But I'd be happy to catch up with you. Yeah, I'd be happy to catch up with you and have a chat about the kinds of things we talk about, the kinds of plans we've got. And also, mate, if this goes for everyone, if people have got ideas in this current climate, we need to protest in a creative way. And we have a few of those creative ideas lined up. But in terms of protest in a traditional sense of the word, we are exploring every avenue we possibly can.
We'll just, whoever's watching this video, hammersunited.com firstly, to get yourself there. There will be a link wherever this video is broadcast. There will be a link about going to hammersunited.com, which is where you can sign up and just get involved. We'll come back to Andy at the end. Danny, I'll tell you what, Danny Fenn, you there, Dan?
I think Danny went.
Did he go? It was close to his bedtime. He did say at the start, didn't he, that he gets tired.
I'm back.
He's back. He's back with he's back with the Horlicks. Listen, we let you go in a minute, Dan. Any final words, mate? Can anyone else hear him?
Just that he's going to be behind Hammers United, and they've given us the voice. Was what I got.
I got the next rounds on him.
Yeah, well, that'd be the day.
That was definitely not me.
No, sorry, Danny. We got you. You were so frightened at the thought they went to buy a round. Now your connection suddenly started working. Sorry, mate. What were you saying?
Perfectly clear. How convenient. Go on, Dan.
I'm listening to him on that. I just said, look, whatever happens, I'll be behind Hammers United. Whatever happens, me and my missus will be there.
We're having some connection issues, Dan.
The internet keeps going down.
Yeah, mate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, mate. I think we do get the gist. You're fully behind Hammers United, and you'd like to buy everybody that's watching this video a drink. We got it. We got it all, mate. They'll all be around your house on Sunday, yeah. Beers at
lunchtime, Dan. Yeah, get the Barbie on, mate. I'll be around there soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Your address will be out on Hammers United, clearly. Right, listen. No, but thanks, mate. Listen, we get a gist. You and your wife are fully behind Hammers United. You do whatever you can for West Ham, and I'm sure is the case with everybody. Danny, who else? Danny Proctor. Sorry, all my screen just changed around. Then, can we unmute Danny Proctor, please, Tross?
I don't know what's happening there, but you've got Danny Proctor with a picture of Harry Hamilton.
Oh,
lucky boy.
More.
That wasn't what I was thinking of.
You got it all on this stream. You got it all. Danny, last words, mate. Anything else you'd like to say, mate?
Yeah, I'd just like to say one thing. Last Wednesday, my dad passed away suddenly. He was 67 years old, and West Ham, other than his family, West Ham was his life. He went since he was about 5 years old. And he's just said to me sort of last weekend, it just doesn't feel like West Ham anymore. So he hated going. He loved going West Ham. But since we've moved, he hated it. So all I really want us is to move on as a club, I think they're going to have to go. It's the only option. Is that I don't really want to think his sort of last memories of West Ham was he don't like going West Ham. That's not him. And to be honest, I don't like going West Ham, but I go West Ham because I was born to go to West Ham. 5 years old, my very first game I went to West Ham, we lost to Liverpool. I could easily just turn around and went, I support Liverpool. Second game, we drew to Southampton. I didn't see him win. I didn't pick. West Ham was just my chosen thing. And I don't care if we win the Champions League, we get relegated, I'll go every week. But I don't fancy going. There's no motivation to go. But until we get change, then that's it. We need change at the club, and it needs to come from somewhere. And I'm afraid that we're going to be stuck with them for the time being. But the only thing West Ham can do, the only thing we do have is our academy until they sell the players and the fans. And we've had so many fans walk away because they don't like the stadium. But I think them fans do need to come back, because the more and more proper West Ham fans walk away, that stadium's going to end up more and more of a tourist bowl. So we need to get the fans back in there, supporting the team, which we do anyway, but try and create it again to be Upton Park. Because it's more, every time I go, it's more and more diluted. The atmosphere is becoming like the Emirates at times. But until they go, I can't see many fans coming back because they've just had enough.
Danny, listen, mate, I'll speak for everybody. So sorry for your loss, really, very much so. And all your stories you were saying earlier on, your season tickets with your dad and whatnot, I think fair play for coming on, mate, to be fair with it. So recent and so raw. God bless you and your family. Thanks for joining us, mate. We've got, is Neil gone?
I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Sorry, are you speaking now?
Can anyone hear me?
A little bit, Danny, a little bit.
I want to pass on my condolences to Danny about his dad. I can't see anyone. I've got Andy Date frozen on my screen, which ain't the best of sight. But I'd like to pass my condolences to Danny.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here.
Here.
I mean, listen, fair play, mate. I mean that. Fair play for coming on. I wouldn't be able to do it, mate. So fair play. You've done him proud. You really have. Right, Neil's gone. He's had enough. But we've got
Neil had to drop Gonzo, but he did say that he's more than happy to pick up Danny Fenn's bar bill. So no issues with that.
He can sell a few T-shirts to pay for it. You can get it leaked. No, I'm only joking. Right, well, listen, we thank. I can't thank him directly, but we thank him for joining us anyway. Andy, last words to you, mate. And I just want to say before you say whatever you're going to say. I think you do a lot of good work. I think you've got a hard road ahead of you, but I think you're a really good representative. And do you know what? You listen well. And I think I know you've got irons in the fire. I know you've got plans for Hammers United. I think the board are unlucky to have people like you against them. And I know you're trying to open a dialogue and you're maybe not directly against them and so on and so forth. So I paraphrase there, but I also think that we're lucky to have you, quite frankly, mate. And just want to say thank you from everybody for all the good work that yourselves and everyone else at Hammers United are doing. Over to you, mate.
Oh, well, first of all, condolences again to Danny, and fair play for coming on tonight, mate. I mean, I don't know if I could have done that, and Tross dropped me a message in the week, and he said that you'd said that it was what your dad would have wanted you to do, to still be part of something, and just sorry for your loss, mate, and thanks for coming on and sticking with it. Gons, mate, it's a pleasure, to be honest, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to be lucky enough to be involved in this, and it's only our members who have put us where we are, if that makes sense. I mean, we're honoured to be able to represent them, and everyone that signs up makes our collective voice a little bit stronger. So thank you for thanking me, but really in return, a thank you to everyone who's signed up, and to yourselves, and to everyone for joining the conversation like tonight. I mean, what would it be, year and a half ago, we never would have dreamed that we could be in this position, and having these kind of conversations, and even contemplating, even floating the idea of, you know, of bringing certain people back, and bringing a fan base back together, and getting, you know, working alongside new ownership. So it's an absolute pleasure and an honour to be in a position that we are. We will continue to work hard, and we know we've got difficult work ahead. I guess a kind of summary from our point of view as a fan base is, or as a group, sorry, is we do feel that there is no way back for the current owners. That would be, I believe that is the position of our membership, and it's certainly my own personal position. And the reason that I say that is because I believe a leopard doesn't change its spots, and I believe that their decisions tell you their motivation. So when they decide to release Ginger Pele by email instead of giving him a testimonial, or when they decide to, you know, create a club construct for fan engagement, or when they decide to ask Hammers United to pay for as part of the away allocation, their decisions tell you their motivation, right? And I don't think their motivation is going to change. So if their motivation is not going to change, conversely, you're not going to get different decisions. It will happen. Frustrating decisions will be made, unfortunately, time and time again, whilst these owners are in charge. And there is a long list of decisions for people to look back and to feel saddened about, really, in terms of not being listened to. So I think the first point to say is that we have to keep pushing for them to leave. We have to be crystal clear that they need to go. They need to put the club up for sale. Off the back of that, we understand that we're living in a commercialized a capitalist society, and we're going to need a rich investor. There's no two ways about it. But I think the final piece of work that we need to do as a group is, whilst we push for Gold, Brady and Sullivan to leave, we've got to prepare for day one of new ownership, and we've got to be ready, I think, as a fan base, to, from day one of new ownership, to say this is what West Ham should be about. And if you listen to us and if you work with us, potentially you can get this back. And I think that's kind of what I'd like to finish on saying, is that certainly the committee, and certainly a lot of our membership, and I think more and more people all the time, are thinking to themselves, do you know what? Perhaps we can get something back. We can't go back to the bowling, but perhaps there is something that can be galvanised, because at the end of the day, a football club is its fans. That's what a football club is. And the fans, as much as they are disillusioned, as much as they are apathetic, they're not going to go and support Millwall. So if we can, make this an attractive prospect for those fans again, I genuinely believe we can get some, if not all, of what we had as a fan base back one day under new ownership.
Well said, mate. Well said. I want to thank everybody for getting involved today. If I could say a final word, and to probably sum up what I'm thinking now, just after having spent an hour and a half, a couple of hours in your fine company, I think the owners, a couple of people have said the owners aren't silly. Okay, that's true. I'll take that. But I do think that they have vastly underestimated the collective nous that they're up against. I really do. I don't think they appreciate that actually people are clued up to what they're doing. I think when you hear people like Karen Brady say she doesn't understand why people go to away games, and you hear a few of the comments that they make, I think they're under the impression that every West Ham fan's a knuckle dragging Neanderthal. So I think they've vastly underestimated us. I really do. I think they've underestimated our capacity for independent thought, and I think they take us all for fools. I think that when they do these stupid things, they think they're going to hoodwink us. They seem to think that we're not going to notice and be on to what they're doing. And gradually, and well, I say gradually, it's building quite a momentum now. People are onto them. People know what they're doing. And when you said that, Andy, when you said that, you know, you don't feel there's any way back, a leopard doesn't change his spot at spots. Everybody's got to make up their own minds, of course. I certainly believe that, and you can only speak for yourself. But I think more and more collectively are coming to that decision as well. And if anybody was going to watch this from the club, I would probably like to say, I just don't think you're going to get away with this stuff anymore. You're going to be held to account for what you do, and that's going to be done largely by yourselves at Hammers United, Andy. So I want to thank you, as I did earlier, and I want to thank everybody that is involved in your organisation, because I really do feel that you're going places, and I think you're going to be really represent the West Ham fans really, really well. I also want to thank both Dannys, of course. Danny Proctor's still in the chat there. Danny Fenn, he's had to leave us with his Horlicks. He's gone now. Harry's there. Harry spoke so well tonight. We've got Datey, who's still trying to get Brown out, unfortunately. Neil's gone off to sell some T-shirts as well. We've Andy, yourself, mate, who you've done tremendously well, mate. Probably got school in the morning, so you need to go to bed yourself soon. And I do want to thank, also behind the scenes, he's been pushing buttons. They might not have all been pushed at the right time. They might have been pushed slowly. He's got, if you look at him, he looks quite. He looks like a rugged man, doesn't he? With his big beard there, a bit Brian Blessed. I know for a fact that he's been watching Mamma Mia and drinking Baby Sham while we've been doing this, which is why he's been missing out on the buttons. But I do want to thank Tross for putting all this together and just being such a trooper. Please do go on to hammersunited.com. Get involved. The website's really slick. It's really good. They've got so many good people working so hard behind the scenes. You'll find out everything you need to know on there. Thank you for indulging us. Thank you for sticking with us for such a long time. There'll be more of these to come. And up until the next time we see you, come on, you Irons.